All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order June 22nd, 2022. We start each meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can we get a roll call?
Chair Snow.
Here.
Vice Chair Anderson.
Here.
Commissioner Tibbetts excused. Commissioner Letke.
Here.
Commissioner Erickson is excused. Commissioner Benson.
Here.
Commissioner Kasparian.
Here. All right. Our first item is minutes. Review and approve May 11th, 2022 meeting. Everybody review and look at them. Any questions?
I didn't see anything.
I didn't see anything that stood out.
We need a motion.
I motion that we approve the minutes of May 11th, 2022.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We need a roll call on that.
I don't believe
No.
that's.
All right, our first public hearing today is amendments to Title 17 of Midbell City Municipal Code to address licensure of child care centers and child care facilities within the city. Adam is presenting.
Start the PowerPoint up, and then we can go from there. All right, thank you, Chairman and Planning Commissioners. This first item on the agenda, this is a proposed text amendment to various sections of the city code in Chapter 17, which is the zoning ordinance. So this is a city proposed amendment. Really what this does is it removes the requirement for child care facilities. It removes the requirement to have the applicant show us a proof of a state license. This is due to the recently passed HB 15, which was earlier this year. And what that states is in part that a municipality cannot enact or enforce an ordinance that imposes licensing or certification requirements for a child care program. And so in working with city legal, we felt that in order to best achieve that, we would remove the requirement in our code for the proof of state licensure. Public notice was sent out to the affected entities as required by law. I did not receive any comment either for or against this change. There's a draft ordinance in your packets that if you choose to recommend approval, it will move on to the City Council. Again, the ordinance is in draft form, and then Attachment A and Attachment B call out every section that this would apply to. So with that, we can answer any questions.
So we're putting this in proper order. That's
Correct.
basically what we're doing. Okay.
Anybody have any questions?
What kind of licensure would they be under that? As state still?
We do
Would you just-
require a city business license application to be submitted, and that would ultimately be approved through the business license process. Planning staff, we do have a part in that approval process. There's also, as you see before you tonight, later on the agenda, there's a conditional use permit for such a facility. Where there's been trouble in the past is that typically where we've required proof of state license, typically the state won't issue that license until there's a business license in effect from the city. And so it was a little bit, the process was just a little out of order. And so this tries to clean that up. We're still requiring city business license. And then we also have the requirements for a conditional use permit in certain zones and whatnot for these facilities. So we feel like all of our bases are still covered. We're just trying to adhere to what HB 15 required.
Okay.
Garrett? We good?
So this is a legislative decision, so this is your opportunity to provide feedback where you have the most discretion to say what can or can't be, or if this is something you're recommending or not recommending, or what changes you'd like to see. Now, with that being said, because the state has preempted a significant amount of what we can and can't do, what Adam has brought before you is essentially the extent that the city can regulate anything related to childcare at this point. Most of that has been preempted and is done now at the state level.
Now, do they have to be licensed with the state?
I believe there's still some sort of state approval that they go through. We just can't require that before we issue our approval.
Okay.
I tried to read the House bill, and it did look like they still needed it.
So I think there are certain thresholds that certain, if
Amount of
you watch
kids.
under a certain amount of
Yeah.
kids, the state's doesn't require anything. If you fall within a different amount, you have to get in and get a certificate, and then if you're above a certain amount, then you have to have some sort of license. I don't remember those thresholds off the top of my head, but the state is requiring certain things, and it specifically says municipalities can't require anything other than a business license, and I think it's some basic zoning things.
So basically, this is, like you said, chicken and the egg, which comes first. So now the city has to give the license, and then they can go to the state and do that.
To some extent, and I don't, my assumption is that there was some city somewhere who was saying, if you do this and this and this, you have to meet these requirements. And the state was saying, you don't get to set those requirements. We're the only ones who set those requirements. So cities are now out of the business of saying what child care facilities, what requirements they have to meet.
So instead of having two to-do lists, they have one with the state, and we just issue the business license.
Essentially.
I've provided a suggested motion if you choose to recommend approval.
Anyone else?
As long as the state's involved, I'm okay with it.
I move that we recommend approval of the amendment as provided in Exhibit A with the finding noted in the staff report.
And if I can interrupt one more time, I apologize. If someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not sure I heard the public comment open. and
I
then
was
a
just going to
motion.
mention that to
Oh,
open
yeah.
the public
Sorry.
hearing.
Sorry, I didn't know we
That's
needed
okay.
public comment on this. Okay, I move we open public comment.
Is it for these guys or not?
I think. Hi. Can
Hi,
you state your name?
so I'm Natalie. I'm the one also applying for the conditional use permit. There is one other thing that conflicts a little bit, is the child to provider ratio for Midbell versus the state is also, doesn't match. And I'm wondering if I would go according to the city's ratios or the state's. Does that mean I go with the state?
So the cities, we have those in place, I believe, for the in-home versus a larger facility.
The centers,
And so
yeah,
that
that
is
is
separate
different.
from the state, and we are able to have those thresholds. The state is more of certificate versus license. So that's a separate, that's why there's that bifurcation of the numbers. We just require a business license, but for an in-home childcare facility, we do have our own thresholds of where that can be.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Do you want me to start over?
So one question I have is, if they need to be certified or licensed by the state, how do we know that that has been done?
We don't. That's not up to us anyway, right?
Exactly. We don't. And so to some extent, the state's taken on the responsibility to also enforce that as well. That if someone's operating illegally, those complaints, and that enforcement goes to the state and not to the city.
So if we have problems with it, don't call the city, call the state.
Essentially, yeah.
Essentially.
So, I mean, in a lot of the same ways, like with firearm violations and whatnot, the city's been municipalities have been completely preempted by the state, and so all of that enforcement goes somewhere else.
Should we close the public hearing? Good morning.
Make a motion, we close the public hearing?
Second.
We do all in favor, or do you have to have a roll call?
Do we have any more questions, concerns, comments? Yeah, is this a vote?
I think so.
So it's a voice vote, so just all in favor and
Okay.
any opposed.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can we get a roll call?
We don't need a roll call.
We don't need a roll call?
Just, yeah, aye.
Okay. Moving on to number 2.
Oh,
So we
there
do
was a
need a
motion
motion.
made. We should probably finish
Oh, I
that.
guess we ought to vote on that.
Yeah,
the
because we
motion made.
went back to the
Sorry.
public hearing. That's all right.
Do you want me to do that again?
Can I get another motion?
I move that we recommend the approval of the amendment as provided in Exhibit A with the finding noted in the staff report.
Second?
Now do I need a motion?
Now a roll call.
Now a roll call.
Chair Snow,
Yes.
Vice Chair Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kasparian,
Yes.
Commissioner Leckie,
Yes.
Commissioner Benson.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Item 2. Can I pronounce this name?
I don't, but we can just say permit.
Applicant requests conditional use permit approval to allow for auto service located at 7619 South State Street in the State Street Commercial SSC Zone.
Yes. Good?
Yes.
Okay.
sorry.
All right, so this is a conditional use permit for an auto repair business to be added to an already existing auto sales business. Like you said, in the State Street Commercial Zone, so that is where the property is located. Here's their site plan that shows their existing building. The applicant is thinking that they'll build a second building to allow for bays for minor repairs like windshields. So they'll still have to get a building permit if this is approved, but that would kind of be their next route after this. We did find that they met all the criteria listed in the conditional use standards of review. They have enough parking and everything like that. So staff is recommending approval, and you have a sample motion in front of you.
Yeah. Is the applicant here?
Yes.
Does the applicant have anything you want to add? No? Okay. Open public hearing.
I make a motion, we open the public hearing?
Second it?
Want to close it?
So the commissioner just opens it, and then there's a motion to close.
Can we get a motion to close public hearing?
I'd like a motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
Chair Snow,
Yes.
Vice Chair Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kasparian,
Yes.
Commissioner Leckie,
Yes.
Commissioner Benson.
Yes.
Can we get a motion?
I'll make a motion. I move that we approve the conditional use permit for an auto repair business located at 7619 South State Street with the findings noted in the staff report.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Can we get a roll call?
Chair Snow,
Yes.
Vice Chair Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kasparian,
Yes.
Commissioner Leckie,
Yes.
Commissioner Benson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. Does that go to city council?
No.
No. Congratulations. All right. Number 3. Natalie Reynolds Owen requests conditional use permit approval to allow for a daycare facility located at 237 Tennyson Avenue in the single-family residential SF1 zone. Hello
Yes.
again.
Me again. Okay, so another conditional use permit, this is to allow for a facility at the home, which basically in our code allows them to have a maximum of 12 children at the home daycare. They do have to meet the regular conditional use standards of review as well as child care facility specific ones. So we did find that they met all of those, with the exception being the state license one, which we've kind of already addressed, that will follow after their business license. So they will still have to get a business license after, oh, forgot about my slides. I was just talking here. Here's where it's located. This is kind of the site plan of the property. So they do have enough off-street parking that the code requires. We did receive 3 public comments in objection to this project that was sent to you early today. So if you've had enough time to review that, I don't know if you wanted to read those, but yes, we did have some of the public that was concerned. Staff still finds that they do meet the criterion, so we are still recommending approval.
Okay. Did everyone get a chance to see the comments? No, it's this one. The applicant want to present?
Hi, I would like an opportunity to address some of the complaints or
Wait,
the.
can you state your name one more time?
Oh,
Sorry.
my name's Natalie Reynolds Owen, and I am applying for the conditional use permit for daycare. I do want to address some of the open points that my neighbors gave me. They're concerned about the parking, and I do share part of our driveway, as you can see with that picture, with my neighbor. And he does auto body as a hobby on the side. I myself have 11 children. Some of them are adult. And so we have cars in that area. And one of my neighbors think that it looks like a used car lot, and I can't really help what it looks like. I do know that we've been able to structure our parking we can fit between 5 and 6 vehicles just in our parking area so that we don't block the street. With the daycare coming and going, it shouldn't be an issue. There's only one car at a time. I've also been watching these children. I haven't charged, so it's not necessarily business. This daycare license will help me establish and organize what I'm doing as a business. Right now I don't charge. And I've been watching my sister's kids since 2017. None of my neighbors have even noticed. I'm not planning on putting a sign up because I am still watching the same kids that I've been watching. The neighbors are probably noticing the children that I've already been watching for the last 6 years. And I feel like it will be the same. The neighbors won't be interrupted, won't be challenged, and I still will be able to provide the same care with more opportunities for both me and my sisters. And that's why I'm applying for the business license over just doing it how I've been doing it.
How many kids do you have, would you say?
That I'm just myself,
Yeah. Oh, no, sorry.
That you're taking care of
you're
right now.
watching.
that I'm taking care of. There's 8.
That includes yours.
No, that doesn't include mine.
Okay.
So with mine, with the ones that are required to be listed on that license, there's only 2 of mine that are required to be counted in those totals. So we're looking at 10 kids. I do have a sister that sometimes I will do a backup daycare, and she has 5 kids herself. So what are we looking at? 13 max. But that's only during the summer, not including the school year, where a good chunk of those will be in kindergarten, preschool, and 1st grade. So during the school season, let's see, we're looking at 6 max during the school season. So that's kind of where the numbers fell, is because during the summer I will have more than the 6 or 7 that's required for the conditional use permit. So we've decided to apply for the conditional use permit because during the summer I'll just have more kids than during school, if that makes sense. Now, I only do, each one of those girls are only part-time care, so it's not, all three of them, they don't have, that's not full-time, it's not all day, it's part-time, it's some days, it's not every day. So it's not a huge facility. I'm not expecting to be overrun with kids. I also have got both my husband and my older son CPR certified, so I'm not the only one. I have my food handler's permit. Everybody over 12 has a background check and has passed.
So you'll be over the maximum sometimes?
Not really, no. So that's the total enrolled,
Okay,
but, so you have one person that comes Wednesdays and Fridays, one person that comes Mondays and Thursdays, one person that might come on a Saturday.
okay,
So we're not
got you.
looking, I'm not looking at all the kids at the same time. There's sometimes where two of them will show up at the same time, but I have yet to have all three of them show up at the same
Okay.
time.
So basically, you've been doing this under the radar of your neighbors, and because this came up, that's when
Right.
everything happened.
Yes, so
Right.
by establishing a license, it opens up me to
Right.
some grants, but it opens up those families to, for other opportunities too, to have their childcare paid for, where if I'm flying under the radar, I don't qualify, I can't help them. But if I open myself up to this,
Right.
then
I'm just saying your neighbors, I mean, it wasn't impacting your neighbors until it came to their
until they saw the great
attention.
big public notice sign, and
Got you.
then people started walking up and checking out the big public notice sign.
Got you.
And
Okay.
people I've never seen before were sitting there reading it, so I don't know how to change that. I also have applied for and received a business license for daycare, but it was in 2004 or 5, where I kept that for 5 years before I dropped it because I didn't need it, I didn't need to continue. And now I'm coming back into it. There are tighter regulations with the state that I'm willing to accept and go through. And I feel like their reviews between the state, the food program, and the health departments, I'm looking at quarterly inspections from somebody. Somebody that's gonna show up at my door and wanna go through things and look at things and make sure
Right.
the kids are okay and there's no firearms and there's no drugs, and I have to do that background check every year. So everybody 12 and up gets a background check every year. It's just part of the deal.
Okay.
Okay, all right, thanks. Anybody else have any questions for her?
No.
Thank you.
Okay.
We'll open it up to the public.
As her husband, do I qualify for?
Sure.
You can go up. Can you state your name?
My name is Gabriel Reynolds Owen, and we moved here in 2006, and the Midbell City granted a conditional use for this. At the time, we had 3 children. Natalie is the oldest of 12 children, and I'm third oldest of 10. So we were very used to large families. When we had our twins, that's when she decided to stay home and just watch our children instead of watch daycare. Now that some of our children are out and we're expecting our first grandchild, then she actually is looking for ways to accommodate our siblings as well as our grandchildren. Now the difference, what we've been doing is called relative care, and there's a food program that has a nutrition person that come and inspects the home monthly, quarterly, and if we have this approved, we'll actually have the fire department that will come and inspect, and the state health department that will come and inspect. And one of the complaints was about hazardous chemicals in the garage, and I think during the winter I might have left a half a can of gas between the snowstorms when I usually empty it as we finish snow blown, but I'm not sure, unless they came in their garage and saw something, I'm not sure what they're talking about. But if this is approved and allowed, there will actually be more of a regulation and a requirement that our home will, instead of just being residential care, we'll have to improve the kitchen and the site and meet the state requirements. The biggest thing it does is it allows Natalie to be able to hire additional help as a center, and also makes us available for business loans and other opportunities that would come under a business instead of residential care. And so we're hoping to do this, and the numbers won't change of the children that we are watching, and we will be the best parents and caregivers we can be.
All right, thank you.
And she is awesome.
Thanks.
So you share a driveway with the guy who works on cars? Is that what you said?
We don't share a driveway. His driveway and our
It's next
driveway.
year's, they butt up
the
together.
only difference is the crack between the concrete. And so there's a wall that goes from the garage back, but at the front, it's just, there's just a line there. I mean,
So
we're
if they
actually.
see anything hazardous material, it really could be his.
So,
I mean,
and,
honestly.
and the state
Could be.
requires, daycare to only be in the backyard that is fenced in.
Right.
So,
Okay.
so it, there's no hazard there.
Thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else have any questions, comments? Garrett, do you have any comments?
So with this being a conditional use permit, this is an administrative decision, which means that if it meets the criteria that's set out in our code, you have to approve it. If there are whatever concerns, then the appropriate thing would be to add conditions, and only if there would be no appropriate conditions that would alleviate those concerns in our code would be the only way you'd be able to deny this.
I move that we close the public hearing.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You know, and looking at the comments that people have made, I mean, you look at the picture and yes, there are a lot of cars, but they're on the neighbor's property.
Right.
So the proof is in the picture that there's no cars in their driveway. And so I don't feel that that comment is valid. And they just need to understand that that is not all their driveway. It's just their portion is on their property. And then as far as dangerous chemicals in a garage, we all have dangerous chemicals in our garage. We've got paint, we've got gas, but are the kids, that's kind of a small garage to even let the kids in. So and with what he's explained, I think that's what are they doing in his garage to know that he has dangerous chemicals?
Exactly.
Maybe they're trespassing.
You want to make a motion?
You're up.
I move that we approve the conditional use permit for a daycare facility located at 237 Tennyson Avenue with the findings noted in the staff report.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Can we get a roll call?
Chair Snow,
Yes.
Vice Chair Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kasparian,
Yes.
Commissioner Lutke,
Yes.
Commissioner Benson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Congrats. Welcome.
Good luck.
Good luck. That's it, but I think we're going for upcoming meetings.
I got the bylaws.
Oh yeah, the bylaws. Finding bylaws. Gotta get you all.
So this next item on the agenda, this is the bylaws amendment, or amendments that we discussed the last two meetings. If you recall, This section 4 talks about election of chair and vice chair. Currently, that happens in January. The difficulty this poses is that the new planning commissioners start their first term or start their terms in February. And so to have an election of officers before the new members start, it was discussed that maybe that should be put off until March, so the new members have an opportunity to be present and maybe get a feel for the Planning Commission and help with that election of officers. And then like unto it, Section 8 discusses an annual review of the bylaws, again done in January, right as old members are either ending their term or whatnot, and before the new members come on. And we thought, and you thought it might be wise to move that to March as well, to have the annual review of those bylaws. And so the new members can get up to speed, get some training on the bylaws and just kind of how the Planning Commission works. And so those are the two proposed amendments. Again, those were discussed at the last couple of meetings. This is before you tonight to finalize that. And this, because they're your bylaws, it stops here. It does not go on to council. So the motion in front of you is just to approve those if you feel that that is still what you'd like to do.
Didn't you bring some up last time that we were concerned about?
I think it was originally proposed February.
February, okay.
And
Yeah.
so
I can't
it's
remember
like,
what it was.
Yeah, we moved it.
that would be the
to
first
March.
meeting that the new people would come to, and so how do they know who to vote for
Yeah,
and stuff?
that's
So
what
that
it
gives
was.
them a month to
Thank you. Mike.
get a little bit,
Two
their
meetings.
toes wet.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or concerns with this change?
No, I think they're appropriate.
Garrett's on board?
Yep, I mean, Adam was kind enough to leave out the bylaw that would prohibit me from joining you all for dinner this summer, but, so,
That was a good move.
Okay. I'm going to make a motion then. I move that we approve the amendments to Section 4 and 8 of the Planning Commission bylaws.
I second it.
Moved and seconded. Do we-
Chair Snow,
Yes.
Vice Chair Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kasparian,
Yes.
Commissioner Lutke,
Yes.
Commissioner Benson.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Sweet. Discussion for upcoming?
So what I'd like to just bring up with you, I didn't prepare any slides for this, but it's fairly straightforward. You've seen a number of times, at least since I've been here, and Liz and Vendeline, there have been requests for CUPs, conditional use permits for duplex structures in the SF1 duplex overlay. In every other zone where a duplex is allowed in the city, those are what we call an allowed use, and those are handled through, those are handled administratively. We review them and sign off on the building permit. From what I gather, there has not been a duplex application that's ever been denied as it's come before the Planning Commission. And so we discussed it amongst ourselves and felt that we would at least bring it to you and see what your thoughts are, if you would be willing, or if you have any desire to move that conditional use permit application for a duplex in that particular zone from a conditional use to an allowed use. It would fall in line with everything else that, all the other zones that allow duplexes, as I mentioned before. It would also at times allow you to focus on more planning-related items, larger things that are probably have higher importance for a planning commission. But if you would like to see those duplex applications in that zone as a CUP, nothing has to be changed. We just thought we'd bring it forward and get your feedback before we do anything formal with it.
So would they still need to come if they're going to build it as a twin home?
A twin home or duplex would be the same thing, and so if it's moved to an allowed use, then it would be handled through a building permit review and just handled administratively.
So if you buy a lot that's zoned duplex, you build it as a twin home, you don't need conditional use.
Not to build the structure. Now, if they want to actually subdivide it, that's still a subdivision plat. That would come before you and then ultimately the council. But the structure itself would be administratively approved.
Is that
Yeah, I'm not seeing this.
If like someone has a home and they want to turn it into a duplex, then
If
that's, would that
if
still
it's
come
zoned.
before us, or is that something that you guys would just?
If it's in that duplex overlay zone and it's not in that conditional use review standard, then it would be an allowed use and it would be reviewed through staff as it is in other zones that allow those. The only time it comes before you as a planning commission is if it's in the single-family duplex overlay zone. The other zones that allow duplexes, again, just you never see those. If it's someone wanting to convert their home or build a new duplex structure, you don't see those just in that one zone. So we're happy to continue forward with how it's been, but we just wanted to bring it up. We felt that there were enough of them that came through, and every one of them has received approval. It doesn't mean the standards would necessarily change, it's just the process would change from a conditional use to an allowed use, which again is handled at the staff level. So just thought we'd bring it up. You can think about it and let us know, or you can, give us direction tonight, just kind of whatever you're thinking.
So duplex, it would be two units. It wouldn't be a threeplex, it would still
No.
come to us.
Well, and in that single-family duplex overlay, anything more than a duplex isn't allowed anyway. So,
Okay.
in that particular zone.
How many do we see that are going for twin home versus just duplex?
We process them basically as the same. If it's a twin home or a duplex, we have been bringing it to you.
As a builder developer side, I think it would be easier to make it include the twin home. Would that be tough?
To include,
No, you're saying it's the same thing.
No, because we'd have to bring a twin home to them, just not a duplex. What if we included twin homes?
Really?
Like simplified the process of, if it's already zoned for a duplex, but you're gonna subdivide it, can we simplify that process as well?
no, subdivision applications need approval through council, and so those have to come to you first.
That makes sense.
That does make sense, but.
Yeah.
But if they build a twin home just on a single lot as
They
a
still have to come to
duplex,
us.
then they
That would-
won't have to
Well,
come
they
to
No,
won't
they
us.
won't
come to
have
us.
to.
If it's
But
a
if they wanted to
duplex.
sell it as a for sale product, each side, then
Then
that
they'd
would be
have
a
to.
subdivision and that would come.
Yeah, that would come before you and then the council. So the subdivision of property is not, we're not proposing that change, it's just the structure itself. Do you want that to continue to be a conditional use permit that you look at, review, and approve if it meets the codes? Or do you want to, or do you feel that that can be handled administratively as they are in other zones?
I'm happy to give it administrative.
That's what I'm thinking, because I remember.
I mean, seriously, what are we gonna do different?
Well, the ones that we've had in the past where the neighbors have been in an uproar, they meet the conditions, and so
We can't do anything
we
about it.
can't deny
Yeah.
it anyways, and so,
It takes the heat off of us a little bit, actually.
yeah. So it just makes sense to me that, like Adam
Think of
said,
a downside, I can't think of a
Yeah, I
downside.
can't
Yeah.
either.
Okay, I'm in favor.
Me too.
Yep.
I think we're.
makes sense.
So what we'll do,
That way.
we'll make sure that, it should be a simple amendment, and then we can bring that forward at a future meeting.
Great.
Does the council have to vote on this?
Yeah, they would.
Okay.
But again, that would be on a recommendation from you, and then if the council decides, no, we want it to stay as a conditional use and go to the planning commission, then they can make that call too.
Okay,
They won't.
I'm curious, yeah, if they see anything that we're not seeing.
No. Okay.
And we'll look at it again, just at the staff level, and make sure that what we're,
Hey,
You
if
see a
Garrett's good
downside
with
to
it,
it?
I'm good with it. If
I
Garrett
don't,
says
I don't
can
see
do
a
it, I can.
downside. The upside I see is there have been agendas where you have a number of those applications on your agenda, and
Takes out the next.
we've not, we've
yeah,
not
exactly.
Yeah, there's nothing. we
known
can
of
do
any
about
that
it.
have ever been denied.
Yeah,
If they're not meeting the requirements of the code, we're gonna tell them no anyway, so.
Right.
okay,
So you're eliminating one step, which is great.
okay. All right, upcoming meetings and projects.
We're still working on, the next agenda, we still have a week before that goes out because of how many weeks are in the month and where the meetings fall, and so that will be finalized next week.
What's the date for that?
That next meeting would be July. Now I need a calendar.
Oh, no, yeah.
Liz knows. She keeps us on our toes with when those
The
need to go
13th.
out, the 13th.
July 13th.
I need to be excused from that one. I'll be in Alaska.
Ooh, nice.
That's cool.
Yep.
All right, can I get a motion to adjourn, if nobody else has anything?
I make a motion we adjourn at 6:40.
All in favor?